Hello Internet and welcome back to Rail Survival, a Space Engineers series where I finally have what looks like a rail yard. Yeah, I thought I'd come up to the solar tower. I haven't been up here in a little while. But seemed like the right vantage point to look out over what's going on. Maybe if we actually step out onto the thingy. Okay, I may need to do some painting. I know I need to do some painting. So I got all of that built and welded up. That took a while. I also, on the other track, went along and built and welded up little supports. You can see on, yeah, it looks like the last one's there. You can see on a bunch of them I put wind turbines. That just gives me more power, because power continues to plague me. Though, if I'm right, I looked at this just a moment ago. Yeah. Main base battery is full. 3 megawatts, sort of bouncing back and forth as things happen. Our other two base batteries look the same. So I think we're power positive. The sun is up, which obviously helps. But yeah, I'd say we're doing pretty well. We have the whole track there. That's kind of fun. I've not been up here really since I had the little locations. You can just see, if I turn off my signals, you can just see the iron out there. That should be silicon. Cobalt is just around that little bluff. And looking this direction is probably what I want to do. Because way over there, pretty much in line with the cobalt actually, is our gold. And I think our mission today is to extend the rail line out that way, setting myself up so that I can have branching lines for all the other stuff I need branching lines for, and going from there. So I think the first thing I'm actually going to do, Yeah, I think this makes the most sense. The first thing I'm going to do is actually modify this guy, because I no longer need this detector. We've done all the detecting, and I did double check just to make sure I wasn't being a moron and forgetting ores. We have locations for every ore I can find on a planet. At least on this planet. So with that done, I can turn this into something else. And I think what I want to do is modify it so that it carries cargo. So my thinking here, this is sort of modeled after a sky crane helicopter. So it might as well be able to function like one. And I think that could work best by having a little piston there that, just sort of understand, how low does this... Yeah, that goes down to where when this is on the ground, that's one block off the ground. So pretty much this could pick up anything that I would wish it to, including this cargo container. And I don't know for sure, but something I could do is make modular cargo containers for the train. So essentially, my rail car, the scheme I have for this, I don't think it would make much sense, but I could do it anyway. then essentially have cargo that can be transported via rail, dropped off if I needed to, and transported via the helicopter. I don't know if that's useful, but I'm going to design this in such a way that that works. And then, you know, I have that as an option. Okay. That looks pretty good. Just connector up here. There we go. So now we have cargo on board. And the reason I wanted to do this, so I'm going to the gold. I think it'll make it easier. It'll just be nice to have the gold mine already exist. So I'm going to build it. Have that going. Now I could do this with the truck, but the truck is going to struggle to get over there. It's going to take a long while. And I need some reason to use the helicopter I just built, so I might as well. There is a chance... I don't know if I'll do it with cargo. There is a chance I'll use this thing to eventually try and scout out a station I could sell stuff to. Because I think that is my... I think that's the best end goal I can come up with, is try and get this stuff to a station, basically have an automated economy. Okay. That's all good. I no longer have ore detector. I could do... This is a bad idea to probably put on the thing. But if I have this guy named and able to toggle on and off, if I need to, I can drop the cargo with the press of a button. So, okay. Off we go. And conveniently, it does still fly. That wasn't a guarantee. So I can also sort of plot out my route. And I think I am gonna... I'm gonna build a... another Y right at the where the end is now, to split off towards the silicon and the iron. But I think the main line, I'm just going to come straight towards the cobalt, swing by there, have a branch there, and then the main line continues on towards the gold. And then I'll have a second main line that splits off of the silicon branch towards the... well, towards emergency iron and towards the magnesium. Because the magnesium is a pretty fair distance away the opposite way of here, so... makes sense to have options. I guess I want to put the thumper on top of this little bluff. The track will probably be down in the valley here. You know, that does bring up an interesting question. Will I be able to make the corners I'm going to need to make in here? Because the corners are pretty big. Well, we'll deal with that in a moment. If we set up the thing, at least we have it in existence. I did just realize a potential flaw with using the helicopter. If I run out of jetpack fuel, the helicopter doesn't have any. The truck, I could always get a little refill and finish off. The tower, conveniently, I've built the tower, I just need to weld the things up top. Therefore, I need to hope that I am able to weld the things on top. Alright. Now we just kick that on. Reap the gold. Okay. So, depending on where the track ends up, I should be able to run a pipe down this hill to make it work. Let's head back and I guess get started on the rail. Now, something the truck is good for is being a mobile cargo for building. I've got plenty of steel, stuff for several hinges. That should get me going at least. Now, I did think about it a bit, and I have two options when it comes to sort of continuing this, well, when it comes to splitting this track. I could do more of this style where they sort of fan out. They work decently well, but I could also do more like down there where the Y, it sort of splits, you know, side to side. And I think I kind of like this better for the sort of branches that I'm going to have. The reason for that, this bit is much closer than this bit. And I feel like close contact of the rail is going to be better for the further out points that I may want to hit at higher speed. Once things are in the yard, I can kind of slow them down. I don't know if I've talked about my sort of theory plan here yet. I think eventually I want to make all of this semi-automated. I want to have a little control tower somewhere over here where I have a view of the yard. I have a bunch of buttons to control all the switches on the entire network. And I want the ability to essentially, so I'll have at each end location train cars sitting there filling with ore. Once those cars are full, I get maybe a little light come on that says they're ready to go. I can then signal them. They will automatically travel down the track to probably the rail yard, where I can manually take control and move them into one of the 4 unloading positions, which I didn't actually show yet. So you can see I've got 4 connectors here. I'm not sure how I'm going to connect them up because, as you can sort of see, these are all slightly different alignments. So I may have to get creative with that. But these guys exist. I have 4 sort of stalls, so I could have essentially 4 things come in. There'll be some element of like having, I may have to design sidings in and have like signaling. There's a bunch of stuff that I think will be really cool if I can figure out how to make it work. But that's all in the distant future. For now, I need track. And I think... yeah. Actually... I just realized another benefit of this design. So the middle is straight. If I want to go to the right, I go right. If I wanted to go to the left, I could do that. There we go. For some reason, this one does not like existing very much. The reason I've done this, I kind of want something off over this way that I think will functionally be my sort of engine shed. I have a scheme for how to make multiple rail cars easily. But to do that, I need a place for it. So, I think if I have... okay, so this thing's looped in all nice and snug. If I extend it out like so. I can have another line here. I might as well get all the things. Because I can have my curved corner going off this way. And let's do this the cheaty way, because it'll make life easier. I don't know, I think I've done this before on here. But what I'm doing is using the limits to sort of force the unbuilt hinge to move where I want it. Which then lets me kind of do everything I need to do without actually... Oh, I don't think... this one? Yep. Yeah, lets me do everything I need to do without having to do... building. I don't have to build much. Now, I don't think I'm gonna worry too much about aligning this with things. I'll just run a pipe that works later. And in fact, it could be kind of cool if I'm basically pointing straight at the base of the solar tower going this way at an odd angle to the base. Plus, I think mechanically that's just what's gonna happen. So, we're gonna do that. Oh, come on. For some reason, this is not playing nicely. Don't know if that will help, but sometimes interacting... nope. Sometimes it updates the grid. Also... I think we'll have enough height. I don't think it's much higher there than here, but... yeah, it is maybe a little bit. I'm gonna try this. So...
fuel low.
The downside of...
Fuel critical.
So the downside of not building them is technically there's nothing sort of holding the rotor in place. So by building it, that may encourage it to actually be still enough that I can then turn this into a station. Okay, I'm going to try something else here. So with what I've been doing, these bits where the actual hinges isn't technically a station. It remains a subgrid. Now that shouldn't matter because the piston bodies are holding everything in place. But if I can use one of these guys and actually convert that, maybe now... Yes, now that's stable enough to work. The moments like that kind of really highlight the jankiness of this whole system. We're doing things the game is not meant to do. Yeah, that's a little low. You know what? We'll leave this here. If this becomes an issue, we'll deal with it. But that should be a good branch so I can have a little building down there to build my cars in. And of course it is now pitch night. You know what? I need to sleep and recharge anyway. Let's just do that and then it'll be daytime. So now we need to branch. Do I branch? Yeah, let's go ahead and branch immediately. Which means I need to remember how that works. That's probably correct. Yeah, looks good to me. So that's one switch there. I can then branch that off. We need more fuel, but do this quickly. So I can branch that off and then maybe have it loop around this mountain. Probably towards the silver, iron, magnesium. That line. So yeah, I'll have that do a big horseshoe to circle back along that way. Then my main line will continue and curve off that way. Maybe I do another branch on the main line. I think I'm going to run both of these parallel until I get just past this hill. Then I'll have a second branch that'll run off towards silicon. This is going to get convoluted, I think, but it should work decently well. Okay. So this dust doesn't help, but so we now have our three-way yard switch. It goes into this section. With the second switch, we have our branch for our magnesium line, which will have a big curve. Then our main line branches again. I need fuel. Ow. So anyway, our main line branches again. This will be the branch that pulls off for the silicon. This is our main line. And I think both of them will turn into
Your health is low.
curves. Ow. Sit in here and get some health back. So, start branching this guy off. It shouldn't need to curve too far, though. I do wonder if I'm having to stationize these middle bits more now because of the sheer number of subcrits going on here. My hope is that I can leave everything connected, because for future automating, having all of these be connected will make it much easier for me to control stuff. I'll have access to everything everywhere just with the power of, well, the K menu. But the game may get to a point where it can't handle that.
Low health.
Oh, God. I'm gonna fly back and get some health kits. Starting to see some value in those. But yeah, if it gets to a certain point, I may just have to cut things off. I think that's the direction I'm going. I may just have to start breaking these sections apart, and then they should still stay in position. It just means, well, means I have to wirelessly communicate. I'm gonna try, though. I've been landing on it. Ha! Maybe if I just am very careful not to touch it, it'll work. Because again, things tend to, when you touch them, the grids update. I'm wondering if part of my issue is I'm forcing it to update and realize that it's a free-floating thing when I don't want it to. Okay. Yeah, that looks like roughly the right direction. I may have to deal with that lump, but I may not because of curvature. Oh. That was exciting. I do... You know, I had a thought. So I had a thought about this thing. I have not used the boom arm basically since I built it, because I have a jetpack. So why would I need one? Someone did bring up, though, there are a lot of vehicles in this save that aren't trains. And I think that's fair, and you need, you know, a variety of things to do stuff. This definitely comes in handy for exactly what I'm doing now. But would it be better... Ooh. I think that would be really tough. So there's a type of vehicle in railway maintenance called a high rail or high railer, which is a sort of mashup of highway and rail. Essentially, it's a truck with train wheels that sort of fold out. Usually, well, they fold out on the front and back to keep it on the track, but the tires are still in contact with the rail. And it's essentially set up so that it can drive along on the track. And that's how people will get around, like, inspecting the track and whatnot, is with basically a pickup truck with train wheels on it. I could try and do that. It would involve a bunch of, like, fold-up, hingy, pistony things, because I'd want it... To make it work for this, I'd need to have basically a rig on the top that clamps onto the track and allows me to roll along it. Would it actually be helpful, though? Because what I'm thinking, this where I'm just flying along backwards, placing track. If I could somehow be dangled out in front of the track on a rolling vehicle, that would be much easier. Well, no, maybe not much easier, but it would feel more like something. And it would be fun to do that with the truck. Though truthfully, if I did that with the truck, I'd also still need this thing. But the boom would have to be backwards. And I'd have to be doing the thing where you place blocks from a cockpit, which I don't think you can do. Yeah. I don't think you can do from one of these. I think it would have to be... No, how do you do it? Oh, no. Okay. So I've pressed Control G, and that lets me do it. Control G again changes out. But it doesn't work from a standing thing, so I'd have to be in a cockpit backwards. You know what? No. I think it would be fun. It could be interesting. But I think it's just gonna be a hassle. As much as it would be a vehicle that's vaguely useful for this, I don't think it's going to be all that useful, and frankly, yeah, I think, if nothing else, I'll tell you, the main reason is that I know Splitsy has already done essentially that for his rail thing, so it's not even something new. If it were a new engineering challenge, like, all this stuff I'm doing is pretty new and unique to this. I know people have done rail networks and stuff, but I have some plans that I think are new and unique. I don't think building a special thing is going to be new and unique, and realistically it's going to be a bunch more time to essentially do what I'm doing right now. In a way that probably will be worse than the way I'm doing it right now, because what I'm doing right now has the versatility that I can stop and look in front of myself. Also, we've cleared that hill, and I think we're just high enough we shouldn't hit it. Oh, I should check. Yeah, we're at a bit of an incline now. So I do probably want to slap in a, in fact, I'll do it at the hill. Slap in an angle adjustment. But yeah, fun idea. Probably could make it work. If not turning that into some sort of high rail, I could easily make a bespoke track laying vehicle. Really, what would be best would be to attach something to the welding vehicle and have it weld, and I place and weld as I go. But that's 100% what has already been done. So I'm not going to do that. We're just going to tough it along, and I'll find some other goofy thing to build. Okay. Still plenty of fuel. I do have to be a little careful. This thing does have a large battery, so I should be able to get home even if I fully drain the tank. But I've been refilling my bottles straight from it, which does come in handy for this sort of thing. Let's take another measure. I think we're pretty much level with gravity here. There is a rise at that end where the cobalt is. Hopefully we're high enough at that point that I don't have to adjust back up. Because, well, then I'll be annoyed that I dropped it down as much as I did. I could theoretically convert all this back to subgrid, readjust the angle, but there's going to be so much mass on it at this point that I doubt I would be able to make it be static again. I could always lock it to the ground with a mag plate. So if it comes to that, it comes to that. I may also just do a do another angle adjustment because I can, and you know, frankly, railroads go kind of up and down and all around, so having to fix the alignment at the other end because I screwed it up initially is probably more realistic. Okay. I should probably... Actually, I should probably roll this back just a little bit and make my split for the cobalt. So the further back it is, the more room I have for my angling.
Inventory full.
Alright, that's that. Oh. Hello, very close signal. I suppose I will check it out in a minute once I'm done with this. Oh, would you look at that? I got a thing I don't have. I've talked about it several times, but yeah. You still get notifications, but because Steam's weird, you only get this if it's something that's not already in your inventory. So, cool, a zombie suit. Some nickel and probably enough magnesium to keep my weapons as armed as they need to be. Which, speaking of, I've noticed it's been a long while since a spider attack. I believe they still exist. Maybe I just scared them off with my automated weapons fire. Which I say is a joke, but there's every chance that's a real thing, which is kind of a bummer. Now I could go ahead and make the curve for the cobalt, but I don't think I'm going to. I only sort of set up stuff for all the other spots, so I think I'm gonna just keep on keeping on towards the gold. And coincidentally, I think our angle is pretty much right to keep us in this lower bit. Maybe not. At the very least, I believe we're high enough to not hit the ground there. In fact, I'll get a little further and I probably need to do another downward angle. Yeah, just thinking about it. I wonder what the largest grid, like in terms of covered span, is. I know there are other worlds that do large rail networks, so I don't know if they're all connected still or not. I think the general technique is to do this in creative mode, and then just take segments and paste them very close to each other, which works fine, but you know, doesn't have quite the same majesty. Yeah, we are going up again. We may just clip that bluff at this angle. Though I'm gonna want to angle, I think, because I think that valley is where I want to go to get in towards the gold. So maybe I go to the end of this flat where it drops off, do my other down angle, and then a curve before I hit that. I think that's the move. Wow. That's maybe a little too low. Okay. So I am going to want to turn. But that was pretty much a load of steel. Got me from that end all the way to this bluff. How are we doing angle-wise? We are going up again. I think if I just angle it a bit, start going that way, I can do another angle down. I suppose worst case, I kinda, no. I'd still have to angle up if I wanted to go on top of the upper plate, if I wanted to go over the valley. Which again, I don't want to do, but I may have to do because, well, I'm pretty limited in the angle at which I can turn this track. Though, oh no, I just had a horrible, beautiful idea. So in real life, if you can't go through a valley with the angle you need, you make a little tunnel. I may have to build a tunnel. So I start snaking through the valley, cut through tunnels. Oh, that's gonna be so cool looking, but so difficult. I'm gonna have to build a mining machine, a rail-based mining machine. Okay, we'll see if that happens. If not, I'll settle for fun valleys, but that might be in the future. Also, I see nothing. I can see the vague cliff there. Let's take this back just a smidgen more. Also, how high are we, I wonder? Oh. Okay, not... pretty high, but not absurdly high.
Fuel low.
Okay. Probably shouldn't have wasted time making that a grid. Gonna have to do a last minute burn to survive this jump, I think. There we go. Let's just get what we can refilled. Oh, Also, I can no longer see my destination in the distance. I was kind of relying on that to get this alignment right. Well, at the very least, this should clear that bluff. So I think height-wise we're good. Now I am going to, just because I'm here, set up our down angle at the same time. Now, hopefully this wasn't a mistake, because I am still pretty close to that. I'm hoping I can just sort of skirt right past it. Yeah, that should actually be pretty cool. Because again, going close to things in a train, very exciting. Also, let me just make sure. Okay. Yeah, I still think I'm side to side level. Something I thought about, I don't actually have any adjustments for, like, roll. I don't know if I'd ever introduce roll anywhere into the line. But I'm also not, accounting for it, so there's every chance that it happens. I think I'm good. So, from the truck, I have no idea where the track is. If I go back to Cobalt, I'll find it. Okay, there it is, coming out of the dust. Yeah, these dust storms, honestly, I don't know if they really add too much. Aside from occasionally getting pegged in the head by rocks. Crud, I may have to do another little angle for that guy. At least the dust is clearing. Starting to get low on food. Our steel supply is ticking down. We're at a half tank of fuel. Yeah, this is a project. God, welding this is going to be a nightmare. I mean, it's gonna have to be something. I don't even think, even at a time lapse, I think it's gonna take like, it would be 20 minutes of time lapse welding video. I may have to just do like a little highlights reel. Get some scenic shots in the 2 weeks it's gonna take me to get this done. Okay, what's our height? That's close. That's real close. What is our... I mean, we are pretty much pointed dead at that valley, which is where we wanted to be. You know what? It might be fine, and if it's not, I should be able to just knock off this little bit, maybe a little over here, and it'll work. I may just, if I build that tunneling vehicle, it'll be able to do that easy, so. Yeah, this area too, because it's so rough. We have spots where we get dangerously close to the ground, followed immediately by spots where we are several hundred meters in the air. Should be pretty cool once we're riding a train over it, but it is a little ominous. Now that we are out here, we're angling up again. Let's go ahead and do another down, because this is a big open flat looking area, or at least flatter. We are a mile up in the sky right now. In fact, if I didn't want some altitude to make the valley a little easier, I'd almost be tempted to like really drop it. So we were actually at a reasonable height above the world. Oh. That's... And the realistic likelihood of the track getting hit by a meteor, quite low. But every time one threads in between the track and a support, I get a little nervous. Oh. Sometimes it's good for me to drop things. I may have overcooked my last downward angle. Yeah, because I'm now intersecting the canyon bottom. Nuts. That's gonna be a pain, I think. The question is, do I just go up at a point probably about here? Very clear. Yeah, no. This is the annoyance of some of this building is, well, sometimes you have to start over because you did it wrong. Well, given that this angle was too much, I could angle this down just 1 degree instead of 2, and that would at the very least make our slope a lot less slopey. Though honestly, and well, we'll probably boost the gain so you guys can see it, hopefully. I feel like the existing track is probably about the angle I want it. So maybe I just move this whole thing. I did it because we are sloping up. Now, I don't know if I've explained that, actually. I've done it a bunch. When you're standing, just no jetpack, you are pretty much automatically leveled to gravity at that point. So if you're standing on a slight slope, you are leveled to gravity. You can then kind of jetpack, so long as you don't rotate anything. You can use your cursor to be like, oh, am I looking at a line that is level or a line that's slightly not? Or a line that's very not, and then you don't even need the cursor. So anyway, yeah, we're just gonna keep the line running. I do think I'll put a little thing here, though. No, I shouldn't. Because I may try and space them out similar to how I did on the other segment. Only I'll probably go a lot further. So actually, I probably could do it now because I imagine I won't actually measure them out in the future. I'll just put them where they feel right, because measuring every, like, I think it was 40 blocks in between on the other one, which I did partially because I wanted them evenly spaced with the wind turbines, but that's gonna be a pain in the tuchus to go for, what is this, like 5 kilometers? Yeah, this is looking much better. In fact, I may... What's our... How sloped are we here? Eh. That's a pretty steep slope. I kind of want to keep it going. because I'm actually a little lower in this canyon than I was hoping for. Real quick. Go ahead and bring the truck over there, and then, I may go ahead and take a little nap in the cab here. Because again, it's kind of dark and crummy. Ah, there we go. Look at the sun's just peeking around the corner. There it is. Now we should be able to better see what's going on. So yeah, we aren't as high in the canyon as I thought we might be. Which is probably fine, but it may mean I actually have to do adjustments up. So I should be able to come straight through here. Okay, actually, this is looking pretty good. Height might become an issue. Maybe. But I should, if I just come straight in, I should be able to come down this canyon, do my turn here, and then I'm pointed pretty much right at the gold. Uh-oh, hold on. Now we have... Oh. Oh, hold on. We're out of fuel. Well, I'm also very low on steel plate, so it's probably not the worst idea in the world to head back with what fuel I have, get more steel, and then come back out. Alright. Now we continue our line. And hopefully don't hit this wall, though. Nah, it looks like we're good. Well,
Health
okay, that's not what I wanted. First time one of those has actually killed me. Do I have any... Oh, good.
Energy low.
Give me one. I just took all the food, as well as all my bottles. Let's see if I can do this efficiently. Yeah, we should be alright. I'm honestly surprised that hasn't happened yet. That's the first time I've managed to kill myself by whacking myself in the face with blocks, because it's not the first time that I've thrown them at myself. In fact, many of those times probably been cut out of this video. Okay. It's probably a little far, actually. Let's start our corner here. Can't remember if I've mentioned this or not. I really should have been like copying all the hinges, so I had the hinge settings just ready to paste, because the names of all these things are going to be a nightmare. Conveniently, I have some mods that should help me. I can bulk rename, and so long as I just select all the unbuilt ones, I should be good. But there are an awful lot of these guys. Also, I need my computers that I don't think I have. I'm not actually quite where I thought I was.
Fuel low.
Oh, no. Okay, we'll look at this from down here.
Fuel critical.
I thought I was there already, but I've just come towards this guy. Maybe... Okay. That should be fine. Maybe I just do that angling. It'll get me a little tighter in, and I can keep doing the angling down there. In fact, I may get rid of that second piston. This is also not the worst thing to do because it allows me to break up the track a little bit, because that segment was quite long. There is a sort of silent danger. I don't know what it is, but there is a maximum size that grids can be. I'm hoping that subgrids get around that, but it is something that comes up when you try and build very, very large things. Okay. Yeah, and actually that was probably necessary because I was going to hit that wall. No, do I think... I may want to move this back even further. I'm probably getting more scared than I need to be. But I don't want to build like 20 of those links, realize I'm too close to that wall, and then have to go back and get rid of it all. I'd rather do it early, and even if I overestimate, it's probably better. Actually, it's better because I can always make the curve less shallow, or more shallow? Yeah, more shallow. So if, say, I'm getting too close to that, I can have the middle bit pull out a bit, which is probably not good for track alignment and, you know, traveling around a corner, but whatever. Okay, I may actually... I probably did undercook this a little. I think I'll go ahead. See if we can get this turned into a station. Oh, come on. Okay, I may have to do my other trick. Nope. So, anyway, I think I'm going to... Actually, I probably want to use a different thing here. But I'll do kind of the same thing I did back there, where I just do a little straight and then continue the curve. Hopefully. And I don't know. Probably doesn't make sense to go all the way in the wall there, but feels fun. I did it back here, so, you know, it's something. In fact, I wonder... This is another pretty low spot I may have to worry about. There may be some slight clearing of material. The other option... Well, okay. How are we looking in terms of... levelness? Okay. I've introduced some curvature. We're no longer sitting quite level side to side. I was afraid of that because I'm at a fairly steep angle and I've turned. So we've got a bit of a bank going, which is cool. No, I guess it's the right bank, the right direction for a bank. It's not great because coming out of the bank is going to be difficult. I may not do it. because it's fairly shallow and I don't know how I would. But we are also... We're still fairly... That's pretty steep. The issue is... See, my thought was I could go up. If I go up right here... That gives me a little bit... Gets me a bit better over there and would help me clear this. But I don't know if I want to go up, because I'm already going up. It's lower ground over here. I'm just gonna... If I need to clear off this little bit, I will. Hold on, let's try... something. So if I put a hinge like that... Okay, I may need a piston involved. But my idea here, if I'm dangling a hinge, I can align that to gravity. That's probably enough of a correction that it would work. Let's see. If I now hinge lock it. My thought is to do this sooner rather than later, because one, the further around the curve I go, the worse that's gonna get. Right there, I mean, on this side, that's the same amount of bump as I reach in the corners. So that's pretty manageable. It'll be a little weird because there's obviously a bump up here and a bump down there. I think it could work decently. And I should be able to corner enough now to get to where I need to go, hopefully. Well, you know, I may have actually gone a little too far. I think that's okay. I suppose I do need to figure out how on earth I want this piped in. How's it doing, by the way? Yeah, we're full of gold. I may take some of that home. I don't think I have the stuff for pipes. Oh, I may have enough. So part of my thought here is if I actually angled back, so curve down this valley, we should figure out just how, yeah, I probably need to drop down back there somewhere. Maybe I drop down and then curve back along this valley so that I'm sort of parallel with, or I guess parallel with this line of this thing, which will sort of be perpendicular to what I'm about to do. Alright, I took another quick little nap just so I could see where I'm aiming. I just dropped down 2 degrees. Build this down so that things are locked to the ground. So now we just hopefully turn enough that everything lines up nice. And then I can run that sort of pipe out and just hopefully lock onto something. Okay, this piston just does not want to convert. I'm not 100% sure why I converted this head. So that is static. There should be no jiggle here, but... oh boy. Suppose what I could try and do is build the actual piston. And try using its things. Would be very, very annoying if I made it all the way here and the physics system decided to break. Oh, really? Uh-oh. Okay, I have the option, but I don't have the option. Oh, there it goes. So, what I've just done there, that will convert this head, which means now I can place my piston. And it is already a static grid. We may be getting to the limit of what we can be doing here, which is not good because I've got a lot more track to deal with. Okay, this is a little jank, but let's see if it just works. Seems to. There we go. All right. Yeah, so technically that is now linked to that, which means I have a base that spans 7 kilometers, nearly 7.5. And so I think I'll end it here on this wiggly hinge nightmare. Yeah, that was a lot of effort. And it's only just placed. I have to weld all of this. I think I'll try and get it done. I doubt I'll even bother filming it. Because frankly, even making a time lapse of this is going to take like an entire episode. So, yeah. I've got my work cut out for me, but we've got, this is the hardest part, I think. Everything else, comparatively, is a lot shorter and probably a lot easier. So, yeah. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Feel free to check out the other stuff I've done, and until next week, bye-bye.